What's going on, YouTube? This is your melanated warrior, Haywood Haynes, and this is another installment of Facts Over Feelings. Leave your feelings at the door so we can get to the facts. And we're right back at it with an incredible, profound, and very powerful segment. I swear to you. I know that you guys have heard me say, oh yeah, I'm about to bring the heat. This should be soul stirring. This should shake mountains all across the planet. No, this right here, if you were to leave this platform today and never come back, this is what this platform should be known for. All the time that we took analyzing the physical body, the spiritual body, the socio-political framework, it all comes down to this. For you to know precisely what's going on. This is why we use a fundamental approach. We don't go to the second, third, fourth, fifth levels of understanding, sitting up there entertaining guesswork, when we know that if we look at how it is all laid out to us, in its simple form, because we know the Most High is not an author of confusion, is not the author of confusion, then we will see exactly what it is that they are doing, what they are trying to accomplish, and how they will go about accomplishing it. And then you will see the significance and the importance of gifts that you were given that are marginalized or are just shrouded in mystery, which inevitably leads you to think this is just a regular existence. What I'm about to tell you will be mind-blowing to most, and at the very least, intriguing to the rest. Because like I said, these individuals who proclaim to be conscious, and I hear times like, oh, hey, Rue, yeah, you on game. You should listen to this person, that person. If you can tell me without a doubt how this information is, how I put this together, if you can tell me without a doubt, these people are saying this very same thing, I'll drop the mic right now. I'll never make another video on YouTube. This is why I'm telling you that you have to understand how it all is set up. See, because remember what we told you, I've already expressed to you, and I'm going to prove that when I say we're light beings and our primary responsibility is to absorb light, people are like, oh, well, yeah, I know that sounds, I know we absorb light. I know when we're in the sun, we get darker and all this different stuff. And but that isn't convincing enough for most people. They don't understand that that's how this realm is governed. And you will understand the significance of what it said in the Bible when the Most High said, let there be light. It is the war on the third eye. The pineal gland isn't just some gland that should be shrouded in mystery and people don't really know who has it and how could it be open and all of this. And this is what they do. They craft the narrative that, oh, we don't know what it is. Remember, I told you they are a genius at that. They're also genius at marginalizing things that have a tremendous amount of importance so that you give it away or you don't use it at all. When you talk about the pineal gland, how many people know that if you have a vertebrae, that if you, spinal column, beings that have vertebrae have pineal glands. The only exception is the hagfish, Hagfish, is the hagfish. It's the only exception to vertebrate animals that don't have pineal glands. So horses, obviously most fish, and rodents and dogs, they all have pineal glands. Did you know that? They all have pineal glands. And only 5%, up to about 5%, of living organisms on this entire so-called planet have vertebrae. And what's intriguing, as we've already came to the conclusion of, we'll go off of this in a later segment, but we know that we have a lot in common with plants, and plants, right, don't have no spinal column. We know that. But yet they operate off the same principle. That's why it shows you that they are the acme of sophisticated life in this realm. And we've already given the example of the marijuana plant, how when you manipulate the light 12 hours on, 12 hours off, you can determine the sex, or that light process will determine the sex of those plants, whether they will be male or female, just by switching the photo period to 12 on, 12 off. And so this is the enigma with these beings. Because for vertebrates, you need, or you have a spinal column. Okay? In this cranial or a central nervous system, which houses this pineal gland or these group of nerves. Okay? Centered at the roof of the third ventricle. Remember, we talked about the ventricular system, okay? Right in the brain. We talked about that. We've broken that down already. And so most people, like I said, are not aware that organisms with vertebrae have pineal glands. And so this world is being ruled by individuals who are manipulating that energy. Okay? And we're going to go into deep detail about this. We're going to provide you with the articles because these articles are profound. And I want you, and of course, we're going to break it down at the FOF Squad. This is what we're exceptional at, because we're going to make sure that you get to the understanding of these things, what it is, why people sometimes often confuse melanin with melatonin. And the reason being, because we're going to jump right into it, the reason being is because that the root meaning of those words coming from melano, or dark stuff, dark matter, this dark energy. So when light no longer hits the retina, where your rods and cones are absorbing this energy, right? Sending it down what's called the retinal hypothalamus tract. Okay? Then you start, the pineal gland starts to secrete melatonin, this other black stuff. That then goes into and interacts with every cell in your body. Okay? And what is this? What is it responsibility? What is melatonin? We always just talk about the sleep cycle, the circadian rhythm. But then these blancos know that the biggest part of the pineal gland's responsibility, other than absorbing light, is using this light to create sexual energy. You call it reproduction. With animals, we call it their breeding period. Hold on. Let's get into this. Let's get into this. Let's get into this real quick. We're reading from this article. Let me see if I can once again, it's kind of blurred. Vivo. It's a Vivo site for science. So if you guys want to look that up, and I know sometimes I say I'll post these articles, after a while I just forget, but I will in the description at the very least, put this in there. But it says, but this is general information too as well. So this is not like, they have a conflict with the way that the information is being presented by other scientific bodies, right? The pineal gland and melatonin. The pineal gland, or epiphysis, synthesizes, because this is the thing, the scientific name for the pineal gland is the Epiphysis cerebri. So I know people say, why would you remember something like that? But I say, we're about to connect the dots. We never give you information for nothing. All right? Epiphysis. For those who are thinking, now I'm pretty sure now you're making the connection. When someone says, oh, I had an epiphany. You're basically giving the pineal gland its credit. And we know what an epiphany is, a life-changing moment in terms of you acquiring information to where it galvanizes your spirit to make a huge change in life. Right? They call that an epiphany because it's named after the epiphysis, or the pineal gland. Oh, we about to, come on, you ain't gonna see nothing but smoke after this segment. The pineal gland, or epiphysis, synthesizes and secretes melatonin, a structurally simple hormone that communicates information about environmental lighting to various parts of the body. Remember, I told you the primary responsibility of the body is to absorb light. You know this when you talk about the pineal gland. This is why they don't talk about the pineal gland. This is why they sit up there and try to convince you, oh, you know, what you got to do to open it. No, melanated gods and goddesses, your pineal gland is already open. Every organic or carbon being on this planet, pineal gland is already open. It is how they, effectively, if it was not, we would not be able to reproduce. I'm going to prove and to show to you that in order to control reproduction, if they were to create any instruments to wage against you to affect fertility, it would have to affect the pineal gland. Ultimately, melatonin has the ability to entrain biological rhythms and has important effects on reproduction functions of many animals. The light transducing ability of the pineal gland has led some to call the pineal the third eye. The pineal gland is a small organ shaped like a pine cone, hence its name. It is located on the midline attached to the posterior end of the roof, posterior is the back, of the third ventricle in the brain. Remember, like I said before, we've already went over the ventricular system, okay? The pineal varies in size among species. In humans, it is roughly 1 centimeter in length, whereas in dogs, it is only about 1 millimeter long. To observe the pineal, reflect the cerebral hemispheres laterally. So that's if you were to take the hemispheres of the brain and have a lateral view of it, right? And look for a small grayish bump in front of the cerebellum. The images below show the pineal gland of a horse in relation to the brain. So that's the image. That's what it's talking about in there. But we're not going to, if you want to look up these images, you're more than welcome to do so. Actually, I definitely recommend that you should. Histologically just means that when you microscopically observe glands. Okay, so histologically, the pineal is composed of pinealocytes and glial cells. In older animals, the pineal often often contains calcium deposits, or what they call brain sand. Okay, so that's why with these so-called Europeans, these blancos, their pineal gland is usually becomes calcified by the time they're 18, 19 years old, especially in their when they're in their 20s and 30s. It's completely calcified. And we're going to show you that when you calcify the pineal gland, you affect reproduction. The very fact that their pineal gland is calcified is the very reason why their reproduction is halted. Oh, you about to see smoke. It's going to be dead bodies everywhere after this video. I'm about to show you that all these people don't know what they're talking about. So Heru don't want no more. Oh, Heru, you should confer with this guy, that guy. If they not telling you this, if they can't enlighten you in this way, please, what you think I'm going to do with them? Now, how does the retina transmit information about light-dark exposure to the pineal gland? Light exposure to the retina, in the rods and cones in your retina, is first relayed to the suprachiasmatic nucleus of the hypothalamus. The suprachiasmatic nucleus is in the anterior of the hypothalamus, or in the front of the hypothalamus. And it's just these, these nerves, gang of nerves, right? And, which help to relay this information. An area of the brain well known to coordinate biological clock signals. So it's like the master director of your biological clock. Okay, fibers from the hypothalamus descend to the spinal cord and ultimately project to the superior cervical ganglia, from which postganglionic neurons ascend back to the pineal gland. All right, that's just saying that the superior cervical ganglia. So you have these group of nerves. There's like 3 cervical ganglia. You have the superior cervical ganglia, you have the middle cervical ganglia, and you have the inferior cervical ganglia. And these basically connect. The superior cervical ganglia is the most important because it's what connects the head and the neck. That's an important set of nerves. The rest of them, they interact with the heart. They interact with, the arms and, the lower body. So this goes into the peripheral nervous system, okay? Because you have the central nervous system. That's the brain and the spinal cord. Then you have the peripheral nervous system. Okay, that's not protected by the vertebrae, right? Your spinal column. Okay, so that is the new nerves that stretch out from your back. You're on both sides of the spinal cord. Okay, your peripheral nervous system, and then in your peripheral nervous system, you have what's called the autonomic nervous system. That just means it runs on automatic, right? And the autonomic nervous system is split up into 3 other systems. Sometimes they say independent of one another, but they work in concert with one another. And that is your sympathetic nervous system, which controls your fight or flight response. You have your parasympathetic nervous system. Okay. And then you have your enteric nervous system, which is for your gut. They call that your second brain. All right. So these postganglionic neurons that it was talking about is basically a group of nerves that sends information back to the central nervous system. Your preganglionic neurons or the afferent neurons is what sends signals to the rest of your body. You see what I'm saying? All right. So we got that. Check. So it says, thus the pineal is similar to the adrenal medulla in the sense that it transduces signals from the sympathetic nervous system into a hormonal signal. Okay. And then it shows you that the precursor to melatonin is serotonin, a neurotransmitter that is itself derived from the amino acid tryptophan. All right. Now, this is where we get off into the meat of this. This is where we get off into the meat of this. Effects on reproductive function. Seasonal changes in day length have profound effects on reproduction in many species, and melatonin is a key player in controlling such events. Now, walk with this is... In temperate climates, animals like hamsters, horses, and sheep have distinct breeding seasons. During the non-breeding season, the gonads become inactive. The gonads are their sexual organs. In men, it's testes, and women, it's the ovaries. Males fail to produce sperm in any number. So the pineal gland sends out these hormones that prevents them from even making sperm. I'm going to be saying this slow. I know I speed talk a lot of times, but I'm going to be saying this slow so that y'all really understand where I'm going with all of this. And then, mind you, keep in mind the temperate climate things. Because remember, we told you we're tropical people. Then you have the subtropics. Then you have the temperate climates. Okay? So when these animals, just by virtue of being in a different climate where the light schedule is different, they have a breeding season because they're not in a climate where they can breed at a time. So even if they are, like we said, they still have to wait. But we're saying that this is why you see the most biodiversity in the tropical region. Okay? And in these temperate climates, like we said, in temperate climates, animals like hamsters, they have a distinct breeding season. Okay? But as the breeding season approaches, the gonads must be rejuvenated. Photoperiod, which is the length of day versus night, is the most important cue, allowing animals to determine which season it is. So the pineal gland from the light reads what season it is. From the light, it understands what season it is. So when it finally catches up, say, okay, it's time to breed. Then it will release the hormones, which will activate those sexual organs. And this is just now, you got to think about it. A behavior comes along with that. This is when they become in heat. You've heard of these terms already, but you never really understood how these things happen. And this is all determined by the pineal gland. This is, man, as you probably deduced by now, the pineal gland is able to measure day length and adjust secretion of melatonin accordingly. A hamster without a pineal gland or with a lesion that prevents the pineal from receiving photo information is not able to prepare for the breeding season. So if you know that, and they know that if they damage the pineal gland, these beings cannot reproduce, what do you think they're coming up with in their labs? If they are coming up with concoctions in their lab that can sterilize you, then you know that ultimately that is a war on the pineal gland. That is a war on your third eye. If your third eye was already closed, why would they go to war with your third eye in the first place? I know. Boy, let me stop. It's always running. Without your pineal gland, brothers and sisters, we wouldn't even be able to reproduce. So stop letting them convince you that it is inactive. Who is telling you this? The effect of melatonin on reproductive systems can be summarized by saying that it is anti-gonadotropic. In other words, melatonin inhibits the secretion of the gonadotropic hormones, the luteinizing hormone, the follicle stimulating hormone. So the melatonin basically, like I said, can inhibit it or it can excite it from the anterior pituitary. Much of this inhibitory effect seems due to the inhibition of gonadotropin release hormone from the hypothalamus, which is necessary for secretion of the anterior pituitary hormones. Okay? We're going to go on. Okay. This is very important. One practical application of melatonin's role in controlling seasonal reproduction is its use to artificially manipulate. Now, who's artificially manipulating shit? Okay? Let's read this again, because this is the most powerful part of this article that we're going to read. This is what I want you guys to internalize. One practical application of melatonin's role in controlling seasonal reproduction is its use to artificially manipulate cycles in seasonal breeders. For example, sheep that normally breed only once per year can be induced to have 2 breeding seasons by treatment with melatonin. So if they can encourage you to breed with melatonin, could then that discourage you also when they manipulate the melatonin? So we have to remember this melatonin they promote and market. Oh, well, yeah, this if you need to just go to sleep. And I will admit that what they come up in the labs is totally different than what your body naturally produces. We already know that, but that's with everything. But it just goes to show you what that they know. They know for a fact that, and we know that they've done their research, right? And that they have come up with things that can artificially induce either fertility or cause infertility. That's why your foods and all that. This is what they know. They're here to manipulate the pineal gland, because the pineal gland is what secretes the hormone melatonin. Okay. So now this is this other article that I have here, which complements it too. It's also on the pineal gland, and it says function studied in other mammals. It says studies in rodents have attempted to demonstrate other roles for pineal gland involvement. So remember, when we talked about, we see these mice, we know other reasons that we've talked about why they experiment with mice, not just because, especially white mice, that they don't have any melanin. But remember, when they talk about, experimenting on animals and, we're studying reproduction and how, people can garner fertility. No, remember, this comes with the relationship with the sun. This is why they'll never be able to master it. You see, so what they do is that they manipulate the chemical or the hormone responsible for obviously, fertility, or, if they manipulate it with their agenda in mind, for infertility, for reducing the population. So there is nothing, anytime you talk about reproduction, anytime you're talking about, sterilizing a population, you have to attack the pineal gland. There is no getting around it. There is no getting around it. This is why you see them throwing up the sixes and the one-eye symbolism. Because that's what the war has always been about. Now you know. It ain't just like, oh, they're part of some secret society. This is the mission of the beings who've invaded us. It ain't to look cute. It ain't for them to throw it up just to show you that, oh, yeah, we're part of. They're saying that we're all a part to come here to this realm, to destroy it. And this is how we will do it. You know, oftentimes I really hope that y'all be feeling me and this sort of thing be resonating, because I pride myself on making sure that I give y'all correct information. The high information of the highest quality. Because many people don't go back and check those who, spew out things to them. They don't go do it. And then every time I know, I hear this from the FOL squad. They're like, man, hey, Rue, when you presented this, man, I was looking up this and that happened. Like I said, I also want to shout out Whistleblower Louisiana when he talked about, have you seen the movie Freak? Oh, man, excellent movie on Netflix. Yeah, I seen it. That's why when you, like I said, we're connecting. We're a spiritual family. We're all on the same vibe. They talking about us. They talking about us. But what we see is that they know this. So I was watching, and like I said, I don't agree with everything this guy says. For some people, it's a total turn off. For others, they can listen to him. And then, you have those who absolutely love him. But, like I said, I don't pay attention to the messenger. Did I get the message? That's what I always think about. And what he said resonated with me when he was talking about, and I'm talking about Bobby Hemmett, when, he was talking about how we will sit up there and we will marginalize our abilities because, one, it has to be given validity, or it has to be given credibility by those who always want us to be in a place of of a lower existence. Now, in a lower position, and he said something, and this is what made me realize that you always still have to check people and what they say. But he helped to open up a door too as well. And I found this interesting, and I just wanted to put this in here just to let you know exactly what realm you're living in, because they understand these things. And he talked about the second most popular book in history was Dracula. And so, of course, me, anytime I hear you say something and you saying it as fact, I have to go research it. But obviously we know that the second most popular book ever written is not Dracula. The first, obviously, we know is the Bible. The second happened to be a book by the communist leader Mao Tse-tung. Or Mao's, it's another way. I think Mao Zedong is how they originally pronounced it or said it, but then they changed it to Mao Tse-tung. Then you have the Quran. Then, the list, then, you got like the Lord of the Rings and all this different stuff. But what was interesting was the number 8 book on the list. The number 8 book. Okay. And that was by Agatha Christie. And it was called 10 Little Niggas. The 8th most popular book in the world. It was called 10 Little Niggas. They changed it. They changed the title, I believe, in like 1936 or 39. And they changed it to, they changed it to, let me see it, because I think I got this this article somewhere. They also changed it to 10 Little Indians. And the new title that they have it is And Then There Was None. And Then There Was None is the latest title, because that's the last and then there was none. Yeah, that's the last 5 words of the actual song. So I'm going to read you the song, because this is where we get the nursery rhyme. 1 little, 2 little, 3 little Indians. It was actually 1 little, 2 little, 3 little niggas. Okay, with 10 little niggas in all. And this is how it actually goes. This is how it actually goes. We finna read this to you right quick, just so that you know. Okay, it goes. All right, hold on 1 second. Let me get this. 10 little nigger boys went out to dine. 1 choked his little self, and then there were 9. 9 little nigger boys sat up very late. 1 overslept himself, and then there were 8. 8 little nigger boys traveling in Devon. One said he stayed there, and then there were 7. That didn't even rhyme. 7 little nigger boys chopping up sticks. One chopped himself in halves, and then there was 6. 6 little nigger boys playing with a hive. A bumblebee stung one, and then there were 5. 5 little nigger boys going in for law. One got in chancery, and then there were 4. 4 little nigger boys going out to sea. A red herring swallowed one, and then there were 3. 3 little nigger boys walking in the zoo. A big bear hugged one, and then there were 2. 2 little nigger boys sitting in the sun. One got frizzled up, and then there was 1. 1 little nigger boy left all alone. He went and hanged himself, and then there were none. So she wrote this mystery novel, and this was it was, you know, this nursery rhyme was a key part of the theme, because every character in her novel, these 10 individuals were invited to this island, and they all died just like these 10 little nigger boys. The 8th most popular book in European history, because this is not ours, this is his story. You see what I'm saying? So you got to understand, as we take a look, I'm going to show you something. We are aware of the minstrel shows, but they were a spinoff of what was called the vaudevilles. It was started in France. And the vaudevilles were like, they had acts like musicians, singers, dancers, comedians, trained animals, magicians, ventriloquists, strongmen, female and male impersonators, acrobats, clowns. Minstrel shows were a big part of the circus. Okay, and the reason why I brought up that book is because, like I said before, they know one or two ways. In every way, they know exactly what you are. You argue all the time about, oh, well, we the Indians. Remember, the original name of the book was 10 Little Niggers. Then they changed it to 10 Little Indians. They knew you was the Indians. And how do we know? That's, for even more confirmation. In 1868, a guy by the last name of Winner, Winner, and I'm pretty sure that's a pseudonym, he wrote the minstrel song. It was called a minstrel song. And, minstrel shows were primarily directed at, making us look like, it was centered around so-called African Americans, but it was to make us look like we were dim-witted and we were buffoons and, we were happy-go-lucky, idiots and stuff like that. This is what that's what this was all about. So they knew very well who the Indians were, the so-called Indians. They know very well what the pineal gland is for. They know very well how to stop sexual reproduction. They know very well what the pineal gland is for. They know very well what your body is for. That the skin's primary responsibility is to absorb light. Because they know that's how the body operates. They know that this is what they have to attack. So when you hear someone talking about the pineal gland, let them know the FOF squad already knows what's going on. And we are here to destroy those who are here to destroy us. FOF squad.